Hello everybody, hopefully I'm coming out live, so go settle, good girl. I'll just give it a second to see if anybody joins me. I'm just using my phone with my laptop as a prop, so just bear with me because I've got my laptop on in the background. Let's just bring that up. Okay, hopefully I've got people joining me. I'll just give it, oh excellent, there's a couple of people joining. I'm just going to have a quick slurp of coffee before we get into the discussion about the questionnaire. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is sit on the floor whilst we're all getting organised. There we go. Oh, settle. Right down here. There we go. Don't be a pain in the bum. Okay, all right, great. So we've got people joining. Excellent. So thank you all for joining me this morning. It's great weather out here at the moment, so I'm going to be out with the dogs later on. Firstly, thank you for everybody that completed the questionnaire. Hello, you. There was hundreds and hundreds of responses, so I'm absolutely, really, really grateful for that input. Obviously, I've been letting people know that I've got a project which is I'm going to give you a little bit more information on shortly, which is called Relabelling Reactivity, which is it's about reactivity and obviously helping people with reactive dog behaviour or dog behaviour that is deemed or qualified as reactive, and there's going to be stuff on it next week. So this was the final piece of the puzzle to really tighten up some little pieces that I needed, which has been amazing. So I'm going to go through the questions and I'll just discuss them in general. If you want to ask questions, by all means, feel free to, let me just put was the final piece of the puzzle to the background. Oh, excellent. Oh, Australia. Oh, hello, Val. Okay, so the questions, the intention was, as I say, was to find out some information to help me with the final pieces of this online project. And the first one was, have you heard reactivity? Now, that the response to that was it was 99.6% people had heard the term reactive. So it was, it's something that I'd say has been probably the last, 5 years. The label of reactive has become more prevalent and common in defining behaviour. My friend and colleague Chirag Patel did a really great post recently about labels, and it's something that I think we are both unified on about the dangers of putting labels on dogs, and hence the name of the course is Relabelling Reactivity. So it's something that's very, very common. My issue with can you settle? Great, settle, good girl. My issue with putting a label on the dog is that it restricts and defines them essentially. And my experience with the term reactive is that it can cover everything from a dog that is fearful and defensive to a dog that's over exuberant and somewhat out of control, and the whole spectrum of variations between that. So it's something, as I say, I don't know who coined the term originally, but I always urge people to call a spade. Call the dog's behaviour what it is. My dog is fearful and aggressive. My dog is over exuberant and lacks self-control. My dog is motion sensitive. And it isn't to say, certainly when you're working with somebody that hopefully will help you, it's not to condemn you by doing that. It gives people like myself, professionals, information of which we can fast track the process of resolving the behaviour. Again, that's covered extensively on the course. Next week I'm going to be doing further live sessions where I talk about the various contributing factors to reactivity. Okay. Second question was, is your dog reactive? Or do you know someone with a reactive dog? So again, really, massive percentage. It was 95.7 people said yes, they know somebody with a reactive dog, which again shows that if there's so many people that know reactive dogs or either their own dog is reactive, how are we defining their behaviour? Because I'd like to think, that there isn't. Is there a global pandemic, one better term, of dogs that have behavioural issues? Or is it that we're not understanding the dogs and their behaviour and how to resolve it? So it's a very common used phrase. And as I say, it's used from everything from over-exuberance to fear-based behaviours. And and it seems to be, you know, a very popular word to label all behaviours. So I'm not surprised with that figure, I have to say. Okay, the next question was more about descriptive, and it was really, really interesting to read the responses, and I looked at everybody's responses. And the question was, if yes, how does owning a reactive dog or reactive behaviour impact your life? This is the thing that really, really jumped out on me in the questionnaire, in that people who have dogs with behavioural issues, should we say, or behavioural challenges, and specifically are labelled as reactive, how emotive and sensitive that issue can be for that person, and how triggering it can be. So reading through these responses, it really, really brought out to me how the fact that we have such a close relationship with our dogs, and indeed you can see right here, being a right sook, that bond and that relationship is often the core root of the issue. So, for example, the relationship and the connection that we have with our dogs can often help or hinder that dog's confidence and issues and ability to respond in a certain situation. That can all be as a result of our relationship with the dog. It could also be that when the dog exhibits behaviour that is problematic or challenging, that creates a level of trauma for us, which can often resonate with us for an extensive period of time. So I'll give you a really, really simple example. And again, next week I'm going to go through this in a little bit more detail. So your young dog, and a very typical thing for young adolescent males, is to get into an altercation of some sort. Either that dog will be the recipient of an aggressive act, or the dog will display a level of aggression. And I'm using the word aggression because it really articulates and quantifies the type of behaviour. So the dog gets into a fight or a scuffle, or the dog gets beaten up, in the most simplistic terms. As a owner, caregiver, the person that is responsible for that dog, that can often create a level of trauma, which can then either trauma because you've seen your dog being attacked, for want of a better term, or the other variation is your dog attacks somebody else's dog, and that the owner responds in a way that is combative, and obviously, you know, they're emotive as well. You should have more control of your dog, etc. Pointing fingers, angry, foul language, and etc. etc. That can often remain with the person for a period of time, and as a result of that, they then have a conditioned emotional response to that, to the dog seeing people or meeting people or other dogs, which can most definitely start to create a response, a trigger for the dog. So every time the dog sees or you see a person, you get anxious, which makes the dog get anxious, and therefore the dog becomes more anxious, and so forth and so forth. That's a classic pattern that can evolve. So it's really a common thing that people can be greatly affected by their dog's reactive behaviour, and I'm using air quotes to that term because I'm not a fan of labelling dogs in full stop, but certainly reactivity. And that can be so emotive to them that it can also cause an element of PTSD and anxiety within the relationship. Now, just a little snippet into Relabelling Reactivity, the online course, is there is something incredibly unique about the course that I've put, that I would say, I'm going to confidently say is the only course of its type, which is very, very unique. And I'm going to give you snippets about that next week. So just keep posted about that. There is something that specifically looks into the response to this question, okay? And the impact it has. So I've put stuff in that course that's going to hopefully help people deal with that. Because for me, in my experience of dealing with dogs that have behavioural challenges, a dog trainer can be focused on helping the dog, but if we don't consider the person and giving them support, the dog issue is not going to remedy itself. All right, so that's just a little snippet there. The next question was, so that didn't have a percentage. That was just a huge amount of responses, which was amazing. And as I said, I read them all and looked at the consistent responses, was how emotive and how much it can create a conditioned emotional response to their dog's behaviour. So this was really, really interesting about what do you think causes reactive behaviour. So a massive commonality, or one of the most common responses, was anxiety / fear-based behavior, and I would absolutely agree with that. And another common second cause of reactivity was hormone related, and again, something I definitely agree with. So again, next week I'm going to go through the 5 distinct things that, in my mind or my opinion, contributes or creates reactivity. And I'm going to be doing lives next week where I'm going to talk about each of those areas. And that's covered extensively on the course. So again, I'm going to just tip on it next week. And definitely fear, anxiety, and hormones are massive factors of reactivity, and how we can help overcome our dog's the symptom of the problem, i.e. the dog responding aggressively, is to actually strip it back and deal with the dog's core issues. So if the dog is fearful, build confidence. If the dog is hormonal, how do we help the dog? What can we do to take ownership of those issues and help our dog not display behavior that is reactive? All right. But it was really like the amount of, I don't think there was, in hindsight, what I should have done was put, I wanted to really gauge what people's opinion rather than steering them in the way that I want. That's why I left it a bit more open, an open question. I could have then further said, well, these are the most common, and then done a percentage. But as I say, I wanted to keep it open. I didn't want to put thoughts in people's heads. I wanted them to give me what they felt. And it was amazing how many people said consistently fear, anxiety, and hormones was a really common thread. So moving on, okay. Oh. So the next question was, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much impact do you think owning a reactive dog has on the owner / family? 1 being no impact and 10 being all consuming. So this was really interesting in that the vast majority of people felt that their dog's behavior had an impact 7 or above. Okay, so the statistics I'll give you, I think nobody picked 1. Nobody felt it had no impact. From 2 to 5, there was a minimal. I think it was about let's have a look. About 5% in total. Thought that their impact would be up to a number 5. From 6, about 6 was 7%, but 7, 8, 9, and 10. So people that gauged their impact on their dog's behavior from 7 and above was absolutely staggering. It was a huge percentage of people. In total, it was, let me just quickly work it out. Let me have a quick look. 1921. Let's see, probably about 40%. About 40%, if my math is right. So 40% of people, the percent of the responses, I should say, let me qualify that, felt their dog's behavior impacted their dogs from 7 and above, and the highest figure was 8. People gauged it as an 8. So it really shows you how people feel that how impactful the reactive behavior, or the term reactive, or dogs being perceived as reactive, is impactful on their lives, and how and that's something that, bearing in mind that when we look back at the figures of how many people felt that they'd heard the term reactive, which was close to 100%, it just shows you how impactful that can be, and how many people think it's actually a really major impact on their life. So, my solution is to let's work on that. Let's fix that. Let's help people overcome the challenges that owning a reactive dog is going to present. All right. So let's move on. This was a really interesting one. Do you think that reactive behavior is resolvable? There was an 87% yes and 13% no. So, which gives me hope that a lot of people, the vast majority of people, feel that it's resolvable, which is absolutely my ethos. So I've had students that have had dogs that have been labelled as reactive and deemed reactive, and have been, thrown out of dog training classes, and people have said the dog is unfixable, and that dog has gone on to do amazing things. And again, I'm gonna share a little bit more about that next week. So it absolutely, to me, is resolvable, and it's resolvable under the banner of reinforcement-based dog training. And that's the thing; it doesn't mean utilizing aversives or corrections to create a dog that is confident and can behave appropriately in all situations. And that's the thing that I really want people to understand. So it's really, really assuring to me that people still believe, despite the fact that it can be really impactful, despite the fact that so many people feel that their dogs, that reactivity is quite a common issue across the world, yet they still feel that the issue is resolvable, which really, really is inspiring for me, certainly. So the people that the response to, are you interested in finding out about reactivity, was, again, it was staggering. It was 94% of people said, yeah, they're absolutely interested, which is what's prompted this discussion. So I've been working on this project for probably about 5 years. Slowly in the back of my mind, working on it and putting it together. And I'm gonna next week I'm gonna be doing, as I say, lives all week, talking about the various contributing factors to reactivity. On the 4th of March, so next Thursday at 7 p.m, I'm gonna have what I call the Relabelling Reactivity Symposium. And that's your opportunity to meet the people that have been part of this project and contributors to it, and I'm gonna hold off with telling you who they are and their relevant roles. But if you want to get on that, so how it's going to work is it's going to be a Zoom call. So Zoom's obviously has only limited amount of people. I think it's up to about 100. So we can have 100 people in the call, but I'm going to then live stream that call, that Zoom call, on my Facebook page next Thursday at 7 p.m. UK time. So if you want to join that, you can. Well, all you need to do is to go to, and I'll share the link on the live here, www.relabellingreactivity.co.uk, and again, I'll put that, and just sign up on my mailing list. Now, when you sign up, anybody that signs up, anybody that's completed the questionnaire, okay, as a thank you for completing the questionnaire, I'm going to gift you 2 of my ebooks. So one is called Setting the Tone, which is about relationship building, and the other one is called 5 for 5, which is a little focus and an engagement game that I play with my dogs, which is super simple. Anybody can play. So I'm going to gift you those 2 books. If you want to sign up for the symposium, the Relabelling Reactivity Symposium next Thursday, just go to that www.relabellingreactivity, I've got to get used to saying that, .co.uk, and sign up for that, and you will receive a link during the week for a sign up to the symposium. Obviously, it's the first 100 people that will get access to the actual call, and they can participate on that call and get a chance to meet the experts that have contributed to the online course. However, it will be posted live on my Facebook page. So if you aren't able to sign up, don't worry. It's going to be live on my Facebook page on the night anyway. So hopefully that will give you something to look forward to and give you a little bit more information. So all next week, really excited about this project. As I said, I've been working on it for a long while because there was such a lot of misunderstanding about the term reactivity and therefore the solutions about how to deal with it, and then hopefully informing people and enlightening people. So that's all to come next week. I'm just going to check if there's any questions on reactivity or anything. Really, really, and thank you all of those that have taken the time to private message me as well, and because some of the questions were deliberately a bit more open, and some people shared with me their experiences about reactivity and some of their insights and their personal experiences, which is something that's very, very common when you deal with dogs that have reactive issues. It's a really, really personal journey, which is something that I'm absolutely mindful of. So if there's any questions, I'm just going to make sure. Oh, hang on, let me swipe the screen here. Can I do that? Okay, cool. Oh, hang on. There we go. Okay, if anybody's got any questions, just post it in the Facebook thread. Let's have a quick look. So I will share the web address, and I will, as I say, anybody that's done the questionnaire will get an email to thank them for participating, and again, those 2 free ebooks. If you want to sign up for, yeah, I will do. No problem. Hello, Daddy. Oh, that's Stevie. Can you put a link to the website? Yes, Vanessa, I absolutely will. I'm going to do that shortly after this call. And if you want to join me on that Zoom, next week I'll be sending out information about how to do that, and then, as I say, it will be live streamed. So don't panic if you can't make it, time zones, etc. Don't worry, it's going to be it'll be on my Facebook page, and it will be recorded anyway. Because of like Hampton. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a massive thing about Suzanne is I think a lot of people have experienced that because we've been so restricted about what we can do with our dogs. I think it's massively played a part into their confidence, their socialization, etc., etc. And also the other thing is, again, I'm going to talk about this in more detail next week. Is no, Vanessa, by all means, if you go to, I'm going to, let me see. Oh, sorry, I misread the question. So, Vanessa, yeah, it's too late now to answer the questionnaire, but don't worry. If you want to partake in Relabelling Reactivity, the symposium, you can go to the website and sign up, and you'll get information about that anyway. All right, so don't panic. All right. Oh, thank you, Valerie. Very sweet of you. Okay. So if you haven't had a chance to fill out this question, don't panic about it. It was just to help me just fine-tune some bits of the course. I'm going to be going over it next week anyway on various lives. And as I say, on the 4th of March, if you can join me on the symposium and you want to be part of that Zoom call, you can join. If you can't, watch on Facebook. All right, all. I think that's it. I don't think there's any other questions that I've missed out on. I'm going to come off my live. I'm going to put the details of the website so you can go and sign up for that. Anybody that's done the questionnaire will automatically, I will email you guys the ebooks anyway, the 2 ebooks. And yeah, I look forward to, I'm really looking forward to next week because, as I say, it's a project that I've been working on for a long while, and I've got the help of some amazing people that I really can't wait to tell you a little bit about them and introduce you to them and their role and how unique this course is. All right. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Go out and get some sun if you can, if you're in the sunny UK. I'm going to walk the dogs, and I will love you guys and leave you guys, and hopefully see you all next week. All right, take care, everybody.